Ducks are swimming in the water, all around, around, all around, around. All the ducks are swimming in the water.
Here I am again, back at my desk and mucking about with various bits and pieces, mostly models. Cars, post-apocalypse cars. Yes, I know. I've gone from World War II Germans to World War II Russians to Spanish Civil War. It's not even historical this time, is it? I know. I flit about. You'll soon get to learn this if you keep watching what I do, that I really can't stick at one thing. I do like to jump from one project to another project so I don't get bored with them. I got a bit bored with World War II. I've been like knocking out some Soviet stuff for a game and it just did my head in. And I started painting figures and they didn't look right, so I went back to hacking plastic art. So what have I been up to recently? Well, a week ago, and I'm late as usual, I went to the Partizan Show. I love Partizan. It's the first war game show that I ever went to years ago, back in the 1990s. Went up there with all the lads from the old cultural club at the time, and such a good laugh, and it inspired us to actually get involved and put games on at shows, which is what we did for a few years. AWI games, Vietnam War, great big Waterloo game, all sorts of things that we did up there. Anyway, this time I drove up with the likely lads from Essex. God, what a journey that was. Stuart, Dave, Lee, and we picked up oh God, I've forgotten his name. How dreadful. Peter. Picked Peter up in Swaffham, and it was a very eventful journey. It's such a laugh listening to someone from Essex trying to say Norfolk place names. Stuart lives in Wymondham. That's how it's spelt, but it's actually Wyndham. Yeah, and up the road from me there's Partizan. Partizan, we say. It's Potterheim is how it's spelt, but hey, the locals like to say it like that. Lee trying to twist his tongue around some of those place names was really quite funny. That's what happens when you come from Essex, isn't it, mate? Anyway, it's a wonderful show, and as usual, I took my camera. I didn't take any pictures, so it's a short montage of pictures that I've stolen from around the internet, so you can have a look at the show itself. So anyway, what did I do? Well, I took some models along with me. I had some bits and pieces I wanted to show to various people, and I got some things that I wanted cast. I had a 45mm anti-tank gun that I gave to the lovely Annie Norman at Bad Squidoo Games, and she's going to crew with the Soviet female crew, just to be a little bit different. I also took the long worked on tank girl tank model, so I could show John Atta exactly where I got with it. I am sort of, blundering on with it. I think blundering is probably the best word to describe. Doing it in stages. I don't want to sort of try and do all at once, because I started working on it at one stage and messed it up and had to start again, so I really don't want to do that. So I took it along, had a look at it, and yeah, it looks like it might cast. And hopefully over the next sort of few weeks I'll get that knocked out and back to him. I've stopped for the time being because I started doing some bits on it and it went wrong, and when it does that I put it to one side because I don't want to ruin it after all the work that went into it. I also took some bits up to show Rob Alderman at Hysterical Games. I want him to cast some engine parts for me. Mainly I've got a V8 engine that I scratch built, and I wanted a few copies of it to stick in car models I've been making for this post-apocalypse stuff that I've got myself into. And yeah, he did that. I got the cast back and they're really quite impressive. As far as buying things, well, I didn't buy an awful lot. I bought from 3 different traders. I bought some INSTAR paints from Hysterical Games, and We'll have a look at them later as well. I bought some post-apocalypse vehicles from Crooked Dice Miniatures, and we'll have a look at them. And what else did I buy? Oh yeah, I bought some various sort of filters and weathering stuff from Great Escape Games because they had a good offer on at the time. So what we'll do, I'll go across the desk and I'll spread out the stuff that I bought and we can have a good look at them. So, over to the desk. So here's the bits and pieces that I picked up at the show. And we'll have a quick look at a couple of them, then I'll do a short review of the other one. So first off, we'll have a look at these, so shift those out of the way. These are the filters and washes that I picked up from Great Escape Games. They had an offer on the day. You pick up 5 of them for £20, and that's actually quite a good deal because these are quite expensive in their own right. So what did I pick up? Well, first of all I got this one, Worn Effects. What you do with this, you spray it onto it, you put a base coat on, spray this over the top, and then you spray another paint over the top of that, and you can use water, whoops, to wash away the top layer, and it gives the effect of chip paint, which is really quite nice. It's quite handy. I got 2 bottles of dust effects, mostly because a lot of things I'm doing at the moment are dusty. My Barbarossa tanks are dusty, my Spanish Civil War vehicles are dusty, and the post-apocalypse vehicles I'm doing are dusty as well. I thought I'll have a couple of them. I've got a couple of dusty ones as well. It's nice to have a sort of varied selection of them to use. And the last 2 I got, this one's Dark Rust Deposit. I've got the lighter rust one, so I thought I'd get the darker one, but then I suddenly realised I've got this crusted rust one. No idea what it's like, so it should be quite interesting, but again, it's quite handy. Post-apocalypse vehicles, they're going to be covered in this sort of junk, so. And then I've got engine oil, which is great for like putting splats and blobs all over the engine decks of tanks and over the engines of vehicles. There we go. So that's the 5 that I picked up. Well pleased with that. Shove them over there out of the way. Next up, I got this set from Rob at Hysterical Games, and he's going to be stocking these paints mainly to start off with just the sets, and hopefully we'll get round to stocking the individuals. These are from INSTAR, new kids on the block as far as paint is concerned, and what they're doing is they're colour matching some of the old Citadel paints, so similar way to what Coat d'Arms do, where you can actually get the old series of Citadel paints from the 1980s, which fossils like me used to use to paint figures all those years ago. So I've got a basic sort of drabby, dirty greys and browns set, and what I'll do is I'll do a full review of these so I can see how they actually work, okay? But INSTAR paints from Hysterical Games, and yeah, Rob's going to be carrying these, so look out for them. Last of all, I got these 2. Yeah, I know. Post-apocalypse buggies. How very sad. But I'd seen them on the Tinter now. I think they're on the Crooked Dice's Facebook page, and I thought, well, they're quite nice. I'll get a couple and see what they look like. So, I've got them. Let's do a quick review. First off, we'll look at this one. This is the Gun Bug. Okay, and what you get, a nice simple to open blister pack. There's your card, and you can see how much they are. There's your price. And what you get is a blister pack full of bits. That's my other camera going off. Now immediately you spread this lot out. Most of the bits are a very nice grey resin, and that does seem to hold the detail really well, and the other few bits you've got here are white metal, and obviously they're more difficult bits to cast in resin, so they've done them in white metal. And the first thing you're going to think of is there's an awful lot of bits. Gamers on the whole don't like kits. There's a few of us that don't mind sticking them together, but they'd rather have like 2 or 3 bits to stick together and get them painted and get on with them, so this may cause some people a few problems. As it stands, they're quite simplistic. There's not an awful lot to them. There's no instructions in the pack though. I'm not sure whether Crooked Dice have got instructions on their website, and it may be something worth looking at, lads, if you haven't, because people are going to struggle to put these together if they don't really understand kits. I'm quite good with kits, so I'm not going to have too much of a problem, and they do seem sort of fairly self-explanatory to put them together, but they're going to be people that struggle with them. but they're really nicely detailed. Got a blower to go on the front of the car. Little white metal driver. You just get the sort of torso and legs, and you get two separate sets of arms. You've got one set where he's sort of clutching on the steering wheel for dear life as he's driving along, and the other set where he's got hold of the steering wheel and he's either moving the gear lever. I suppose you can move it. I might put a gun or something in his hand as well. They come with separate heads, and this one has got a hockey mask on. Is it Friday the 13th where the serial killer guy's got the hockey mask on? Anyway, that's what he's got. It's quite a nice touch. And here's one bugbear, and I hate to do this to people, but this is a gun buggy and it's got a gun on it. That gun is absolutely massive. There's the figure and there's the gun, and it's a bit overscale. I wasn't going to use it anyway, so I'm not going to be too overly critical of it, because most of my post-apocalypse vehicles are armed with like a lot more sort of primitive stuff than that. But most gamers don't care. They don't worry about scale, and it sits on top of the buggy and it looks the part, so hey, that's all they really want. So all in all, nice little kit. Let's have a look at the other one. And this one here is just as the open fronted buggy. Same again, blister pack. Full of natty little bits. And one thing I have noticed about this, they are very, very similar. Okay, so your body section is the same tub as was in the other vehicle, and the front section is very similar as well. It's just not enclosed like the other one was, because this has got a nice little V8 engine to go in there, which just put it in the right way around, fits quite nicely in the front of the vehicle. There we go, like that. Okay, once again, white metal and resin. Driver with a separate head, whose head appears to have gone missing. Oh, here it is. This one here, it's a bald-headed bloke with goggles shouting. I think he's shouting, "What a lovely day," because that is Nux from Fury Road. Brilliant. I'm kind of hoping that somewhere along the way they're going to be actually doing these drivers as separate figures, because that'd be a really good idea. Crooked dice, a pack of these, driver figures. We'd like that. When I bought the vehicles, I had a chat with a guy on the stand, and I think it was Carl Periton, the lad that actually runs Crooked Dice, and he had an iPad full of images of things that they're going to be doing for this post-apocalypse range. They have a really eclectic mix of figures in their company, and they've got a good set of rules called 7TV, which harks back to my boyhood days, and there's things like the timeless security from Captain Scarlet, and they've got all sorts of bits and pieces. Oh God, what else did they have there? I reckon my brain's trying to remember it now. The Avengers and a sort of spy stuff from the 1960s like James Bond, and it's really wonderful to see. It's quite impressive and a good sort of mix of stuff. Anyway, I'll glue them all together and we'll have a good look at them and see what we think. So I'll do a review of those as we go along. They're good basic kits, okay? There is absolutely nothing wrong with them at all, and you know what? The vast majority of gamers are going to be more than happy with this. Stick together, and it's nice to have some 28mm post-apocalypse vehicles, because most of the stuff is based around 20mm and Hot Wheels cars, so I like bigger stuff. These scale out at about 1/50th, 1/48th, so they're quite a nice scale to go with the figures. Overscale if you want to sort of look at scale differences, but in fact looks right, because as we all know, figures are never in scale, they're all over the shop, and these vehicles are perfect. My ones, well, I'll stick them together, but I'm going to super detail them because there's a lot more you can do with these. Okay, as a good basic starter kit, as a shell to work on, absolutely brilliant. And for me, saves a lot of the donkey work, doesn't it? I haven't got to build the vehicle, all I get to do is add the fun bits to it, which is what I'm going to quite enjoy doing. So there we go. Crooked Dice, post-apocalypse vehicles, available from the website. They have some nice trucks out now, and on his iPad he had a really good selection of bits and pieces coming out for this, including a full set of rules that's going to be available as a box set that's going to contain vehicles and figures and things as well, so look out for those. So there we go, my 2 buggies, my paints and my filters, and that's my haul. Well, there you go, me at Partizan, just chatting. That's all I did, talking. I gave it large to loads of different people. That's what I do. I didn't look at many of the games. I didn't go anywhere in the trade stands, apart from the ones that I knew I wanted to visit, to hand the various bits and pieces over and buy the various things that I've just shown you on the desk. And I spent most of the day just chatting, and it's lovely to catch up with all my old friends. There's a load of the old War Games mongrel crowd there. There's an old Yahoo group that I used to belong to, and it's really nice to catch up with them, although you all look so old these days. It's not good, is it, growing old? Anyway, I've made a lot of promises there, haven't I? Things that I'm going to look at and review and give you ideas about, and as usual, yeah, I'm back doing reviews again. Eventually, I promise, I will do something constructive and try and film it and show it to you. But that's all from me for now, and I'll film something again soon. Stick it on the site and you can have a look and see what you think. See ya.